Here we go. Hey, what you know, late night edition of Dirt Diamond Sports Talk. I'm Ryan, as always, with my man Wally. Before we get started, guys, hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. We can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Heavy sigh, Wally. What we thought would be I don't know, I'm not going to say easy series, but what we thought would at least be something to bring some confidence back to these guys headed to Denver was anything but.
No, it was 2013 bad. We've talked, it's too early in the season to say it's an ad nauseum, but we've talked about emerging trends. And one of the things that has been a concern, which is so strange because our pitching has always been so strong. But let me throw some numbers out on an average basis. A little under 11 hits a game, a little under 8 runs a game. Almost all of those are earned. You had one unearned run, 5 walks a game. You're talking an ERA of 8.25 and a whip. Walks and hits divided by innings pitched is 2.17. So put your arms around this.
Yeah.
And what that means is that the Rockies had on average 2 guys on base every inning.
Yep.
Just conceptually, you're going to give up a lot of runs because you're going to luck into an inning where you don't allow a run. Well, then the other one comes up like we saw in game 1 where the Astros kick a couple of balls around and then the Rockies go nuts.
That inning, it was just a meltdown. I mean, it was
a total meltdown. It was
back
like
and forth
Pony
battle,
League.
and then you give up 8 runs. I mean,
it was Pee Wee League bad.
It was horrible.
It was pathetic.
It was insane.
And also, to be fair, Brian, there was a little bit of bad luck. Pena had that ball hit the base. I was wondering though if Pena couldn't have charged that ball because the base is there, right? And maybe he couldn't have gotten there in front, but he was certainly waiting back on it, thinking it was going to be an easy play, and it ate him up.
Yep. Well, and hits the pizza box size plate bag there at second, and that just that inning was just brutal. It really was. I mean, we were texting a little bit after that game, and I wasn't too disappointed after that game because I was like, hey man, one nightmare inning. Yes, they dropped 2 of 3 against Oakland, but the offense is still ticking, still putting 6 runs on the board on average. And I'm not super worried. I think it was something along those lines is what I text you after that game.
Yeah.
Outside of pitching, offensively, I said, I'm not super worried. And then game 2 and 3 happened, and it's, everything went to pot as far as the offense goes. I mean, Jordan was 1 for 11 in that series. Altuve stayed pretty hot. He was pretty good there in game 1. And the Astros scored 7 runs. And usually when you say the team scored 7 runs, in more cases than not, you're going to guess that the team that scored 7 runs wins that game. But in Colorado, obviously a different story. But hey, I mean, golly, man.
You're like, give me 7 runs. If you said, okay, guys, you can have 7 runs every game and not ever have to take the field, you say, great, and I'll win 110 games. Not this year. But to your point, in game 2 and game 3, things fell apart. In game In game 2, you had 3 hits, which is an average of a lusty 100 and an OPS of 329. You only had 2 runners in scoring position and were 0 for 2, left 4 on
Yep.
base.
Yep.
Game 3, you hit 228 with a 499 OPS. Both of those are basement level stuff. And
Yep.
if when in your life would you think that to say that the Rockies pitching schooled the Astros or schooled anybody?
Yes.
Let's be real. Rockies
It
and
sure looked
pitching are
like it.
mutually exclusive.
Yes. 100%. It was, I mean, it was just, there's nothing else to really say about it. I mean, the offense just went quiet. I mean, I don't know if it had something to do with, who knows really? I mean, I guess game 3, all the injuries kind of start happening there earlier in the game and you're like, what is going on? And
Oh yeah.
maybe get a little bit rattled and shaken, but man, I mean, if for me, I guess if there was a bright spot uh in this series, it was Mike Burrows. 5 innings pitched. He, 3 earned runs, okay, but receiving 0 run support. Burrows actually looked fairly
Bur-
decent in those
Burrows
five
looked
innings.
Burrows looked fine. You give up 3 runs. You wish you wouldn't. And it gives you an ERA of five per game. He does that all the time. I think Burrows is the least of their problems. When you look at uh, the bullpen or the pitchers, Cody Bolton had a good game to start off with, and I fully understand why Joe tried to put him out to the 5th inning. I mean, he was so thin on it. If people who watched the game can remember, everybody was so lit up by the A's series that really all you had left was Blue Ball and then De Los Santos or Weiss and De Los Santos, who didn't have any significant mileage on them.
Hmm.
Weiss Weiss got
But did Joe
it,
make a huge mistake there? There's a
I
lot of
didn't
chat.
think
There's a
so.
lot of chatter there. I mean, Ryan Weiss. Why try to throw Cody back out there and not
Because
give
he
Ryan Weiss a clean inning?
no, that's fair. When Weiss comes in and he's got a dirty inning to deal with, I think in Joe's defense, I can understand the logic. Now, would we have done the same thing? I don't know. But you had Cody Bolton, who'd been good. He'd been real good. And you think, man, if we can just squirrel him out one more inning, he'd thrown when he was pulled out of the inning in the game, he had 63 pitches. So going into the game, the inning, he had somewhere in the 50 pitch range. You think you can maybe, gut out another inning and then you run Weiss out there for 3, and then hopefully you can find a way to clean up the game. But
See, but
between
I guess that's my confusion in all of this is if Weiss is going to be he's your long arm reliever. There's no
right,
doubt. If there's anybody in the bullpen that's your long arm reliever, it's Weiss. And knowing his um,
background.
predisposition to wanting to start, he's not a guy that you throw in the middle of a dirty inning. And
Well,
if you've got him and you're going to use him, then start him with a clean inning and know that you're going to run him long. To me, there was just some questionable usage of that. In my opinion, if you bring somebody in to clean that inning up, you bring somebody in to finish off the inning, and then you throw Weiss in there to finish the game off.
yeah, to your point, you could have thrown De Los Santos in there to try to clean up the inning.
Yep,
I that's a clear, that's a clear alternative that could have been used. I think, you know, I get why he threw Bolton out to start off with. Should have thrown Weiss in? That's an open question.
sure.
Joe's been pretty good about handling his pitching staff in the last, you know, two plus years, and he's once in a while he's going to make a move that doesn't work.
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
Right now,
Yep.
right now, uh, when you look at what the team's doing is the pitchers. I never in my life would think that we'd see games like game 3 where they they throw 9 walks. Okay,
And
that's 9 walks. I mean
this
that takes a special talent.
coming into this season, you and I both were praising the possibility of this pitching staff being one of the better in the American League, if not potentially in baseball, period. And
Well,
from the looks of it now, outside of the injuries, we've those are, that's happened now with Hunter Brown, and then as we saw in Game 3, there, Christian Javier going out after an inning and a third. Um, but even with that, through the A series, through this series, this pitching staff looks not not a
not
lot of
good.
confidence in there right now as far as
No.
what we're trying to get out of. I mean, you got Imai might be the only guy that you can really say after two outings is the one guy that you can have a little bit of confidence in.
Well, what you are saying is guys are going to have to step up. You've got guys like McCullers are going to have to step up and be Lance McCullers of old, and he's never been a long innings eater kind of guy. JP France is coming up. We're going to find out how that shoulder is. Burrows is going to have to. We're going to Burrows is going to have to step up. You got to have
Yep.
some guys who. That's the worst part about losing a guy like Brown is that he's your one. By definition,
Yeah.
everybody else has to step up.
Yep.
Yeah, you just
And
have to.
we're gonna get to this. We're gonna get to the Seattle series in a minute and kind of discuss some of those potential pitching um,
Matchups.
matchups there. But we've got this issue of, I guess, injuries now already. The Astros are used to it. We're kind of used to it. And so as we just said, Christian Javier exited the game yesterday after an inning and a third, shoulder tightness. He was already struggling with velocity. I mean, the dude wasn't hitting anything more than like 91.5 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And it was not pretty. I mean, his four seam fastball is I maybe this has been plaguing him all, and he's just been trying to push through it since the beginning of the season because I mean his whiff rate is 9%.
Yeah,
In
he's not throwing, and that
his 2.5 starts or whatever you want to call it.
yeah, the invisible is just ball.
It's just a regular four seam beach ball. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a BP fastball.
Yep.
Yeah, and well, you've got Imai against Emerson Hancock going Friday. McCullers against Luis Castillo on Saturday. It's a wraparound series. You got JP going on. Has to be JP France going on
It's
Sunday.
got to be. I don't think they
And
would have called him up. If they were going with somebody else, they probably would have called up Colton Gordon, is who I was kind of really thinking outside of the possibility of JP France. But it sounds like France will probably go on Sunday.
yeah, and even you called Colton Gordon up. I mean, Colton Gordon is a guy that's gonna you can kind of ratably say he'll give you a 5-6 inning, give up 3 runs, 5-6
Yep.
hits. He'll typically keep you in the game, but he's not going to shut somebody down.
Yeah. Well, the
Um,
reason that I thought Colton Gordon would be the guy is because his last inning in Sugarland was a hitless 7 inning outing, 7 inning start.
yeah, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That's Dana's call, and we'll get into some Dana talk here in a little bit, but um, they've still got Javier shown as throwing against the Rockies when they come back home, but I can't imagine they'd have him, coming out with a shoulder and
I can't
then
imagine that.
and then not putting him on the IL.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't.
I
I
mean,
can't see that.
maybe they bring Gordon up. They maybe they don't pitch Gordon, give him a chance to rest up and save him for Monday.
Well, I guess that would be a regular start for Burrows on Monday.
I mean, I'm talking. Excuse me, Tuesday
Oh,
when
okay.
the Rockies come back into town.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's another therein lies another issue. Starting tomorrow, the Astros go 13-13
Yeah,
straight without a break. So your pitching's already hampered. Your bullpen has been beaten and bruised. Um, these next 2 weeks are going to be a real test for the Astros.
yeah, and you wonder what Josh Miller and the guys um, tell the pitchers is, guys, throw strikes, don't pitch scared. You've got a great defense behind you. Save that meltdown we had the other day. You know,
Yep.
if you throw it in the strike zone, and no guarantee that they're not going to get on base. If you don't throw them in the strike zone, there is a guarantee they're going to be on base. And it just seems like walks come back to bite you worse than the hitter
Yeah.
than hits do.
Yeah. For sure. Well, speaking of Seattle, um, I mean, misery loves good company, right? If we're
Right.
we're talking about Seattle, the Mariners are 4-9, suffering through one of their worst offensive funks, if not the worst offensive funk in the league. I believe that is the worst offense in all of Major League Baseball right now. So I think I said to you before we pressed record, before we press start, maybe this is the best time for the Astros to meet up with Seattle, especially considering, listen to this, they're 2, 3, 4 hitters, 143, 143, and 104. That's Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, and Josh Naylor. Cal Raleigh has hit one home run so far this season. Julio
Yeah.
Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, zip. So
Well,
if now
and
if there's a chance for the Astros to really maybe pull something off, this may be the best time to get the Mariners before the next time you see them.
hey, without looking, do you know what their average is?
Their team average,
Yeah.
it's got to be hovering around the 200 range.
Well, they're the only team in MLB that's on the interstate.
Okay.
They're on I-84.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
They have an
So
OPS of 581, but you know,
well, their K rate's 27 and a half or something like that too. I mean,
you know,
they're just abysmal right now.
their offense really showed a lot of life last year, and that's why they won the West because their pitching was not as good as it normally was.
Mhm.
And so the Mariners come in thinking they're gonna, they're set, they're loaded for bear and ready to go. But their offense the years before was not this bad. But you wonder if that last year was just was an
The
anomaly.
23 Rangers,
Yeah,
the
something like how
23 Texas
although the
Rangers. Yeah.
Rangers look like they got something this year. The good news about the Astros, since we're talking about just kind of bouncing around, is that no one in the division has taken off.
Yeah.
The Astros, for as poorly as they played, are second place at 6-7. I think the Rangers are what, 7-6.
They're 500. I think they're 7-7. I think they've played 14.
They're 7-5.
Oh, okay.
They're
Really?
they're 7-5.
Okay.
Yeah, they're 7-5.
Okay.
So
I
it's
thought I
not
saw
like
something that said they were 500.
yeah, it's not like the 84 Tigers that win 35 of their first 40 games and the thing's over in the middle of May.
Whew. I mean, the
So
Tigers just got swept by the Twins. So
yeah, no, I'm talking about the old Tigers with Kirk Gibson
no,
and
I
that
know. I
guy.
was just saying. And just speaking of the Tigers, the team that so many people thought were just going to run away with the American League, getting swept by the
Oh,
Twins.
it's early.
Yeah.
It's early.
Oh, it's
It's
early.
and we'd say it's early. It's this, that, and the other. It's earlier or later for most teams, but generally speaking, it still holds that you really know what you have when you get to Memorial Day. You know,
Yeah.
then
Yep.
you've gone through and typically you've seen everybody in your division once. You've got a decent a decent schedule that you've seen some good teams, you've seen some bad teams. Things are starting to even out a little bit.
Yeah.
But
So
there we've
Going into Seattle and knowing what we know, you just brought up a little conversation that Josh Miller might be having with the pitchers of hammer the zone and throw strikes. Ironically, the middle of the order, Julio, Raleigh, and Naylor, have a 34% chase rate on pitches outside of the zone
yeah,
so far this
but
season.
but the question is, are the Astros? If you
Well,
throw out of the zone, that's great to get them to chase. But the question is, can you throw in the zone when you need to? You
when you
only
need
get
to.
them to chase. You only get them to chase if you've sold them on you being in the zone. You
Yep.
you throw two cutters. Let's say throw two cutters on the outside corner, come with a slider. They chase. They're out.
Yep.
You see them
Julio
do it to
Rodriguez, where he said, has 0 home runs on only 2 RBIs through 13 games. His average launch angle is currently 2.1 degrees.
so he's hitting ground balls.
He's hitting everything into the ground. So I
I'm
think
surprised. Naylor's the one that surprises
the
me.
strategy, again, as we said going into Colorado, the strategy is to avoid that high fastball, feed these guys just a steady diet of sliders, low and away, hammer the strike zone when you need to, get those put out pitches um, until these guys can prove that they can lift the ball.
Yeah, and if I'm Seattle, I'm saying we're having a tough time hitting and we're chasing the ball, but they can't throw strikes. So make them come into the zone. And so we're going to
Yep.
see we're going to see which one gives first.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Well, and not having the best, potentially or arguably one of the best defensive center fielders in the league, not running around out there, Safeco Park, Safeco Field, wherever they call it up there, with Jake Myers being out, which I don't know that we actually brought that up. Soreness in his back, apparently.
Yeah. So
So having Jake out and knowing what what these Seattle hitters are doing and not doing, I guess there's kind of another little notch in the Astros belt. This again, I feel like this could be a gold mine, get it right series or get right series for the Astros.
well, we'll see. We're going to find out if Bryce can play center field. We're going to find out if Loperfido can play center field. One of those two's
Hmm.
got to take center and left. I think they'd probably put Matthews in center, and put Loperfido in left because your reads are easier. It's in center field. Although
Hmm.
the center fielder's the quarterback, and do you want to have a rookie doing that? But I think
Right.
just from a go get it standpoint, we're going to find out Matthews can play, and Matthews got to make contact.
Yes. Yes.
He strikes out. He strikes out 50% of the time. The reason he's still up is Zach Cole ain't bounced a ball off his foot, and he's on the DL.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
so we're going to find out about these guys.
So this brings up a talking point and something that we wanted to chat about is the the Astros for the longest time during the majority of their heyday. We have a couple of friends very specifically that like to, coin this the next man up for the Astros. For the longest time, they always had that next man. They had somebody in the waiting room ready to go, warmed up, a legit player, talent, all of the things. We're starting to see the effects of, potentially, I guess, the punishment from MLB for the 2 years that we didn't get a first or second round pick, one. And two, maybe this puts a really big question mark over the head of Dana Brown and what he was brought here to do, which was scout and kind of retool this farm system. You've got some very specific examples, but Bryce is one example of a guy that is a Dana Brown draft pick. And from there, it kind of just, eh. kind of just
Well,
goes not a whole lot of places that excite you.
yeah, we've talked a little bit on shows before, but since it's on topic, back after the 17 World Series, Jeff Luhnow changed the entire approach to scouting. He
Yep.
fired a lot of the in-person scouting. They were going to go digital scouting, and however their virtual scouting do a lot of analytics off what they saw on the film, etc. Since uh, since that time, there have only been two that I can recall major, plus players come through the Astros system and push their way onto the team, and that's Hunter Brown and that's Jeremy
Hmm.
Pena.
Hmm.
Uh, what made the 17 team so strong is that they were homegrown talent. They didn't have to spend a lot of money to keep them, and then when they needed to go spend money on a Brian McCann, they did, and they were able to add Michael Brantley, at 16 million a year, because they had that young core that was still affordable. Now what you've got
Yep.
is that core isn't there. Uh,
Yep.
and specifically Dana's drafts, the 23, 24, 25. The 23 draft, you've got two players that have made the major leagues. That's Jake Bloss, who's with Toronto, and he is out. He's got his
Hmm.
arm issues again, and Bryce. Of the two of the top 10 draft picks have already been released. Okay. 9 of them are at double A, 2 of them are at high A. One of these guys were traded out. One is at low A ball, or excuse me, 3 is at low A ball, and one's at the Florida Coast League, probably on some sort of an injury sort of recall. 24, 2024, you've got 4 of them at double A, 5 at high A, uh, 4 at low A, and 1 at the Florida Coast League. And you want to be fair with it. Some of these guys, as we get to the later drafts here, they'll be at the Florida Coast League because they're real young guys. They've got a
Hmm.
17-year-old that they draft, and they want to develop them before they put them into hard competition.
Right.
2025, you've got several of them at A, 5 at low A. Excuse me, you've got 5 at high A, 8 at single A, 5 at the Florida Coast League, and one of them didn't sign. Here's some notables that have been high draft choices. Alonzo Treadwell was a second round draft choice out of UCLA. A lot of
Hmm.
promise. He's had lots of injuries, and right now he's on the 60-day. They signed Chase Jaworski. I think he was a 6th or 7th round draft, maybe 5th, 6th round draft choice, somewhere in there. They paid him over slot, big time over slot.
Yep. Yep.
His slot was about 350. They paid him about 850. And don't kill me on the numbers, but just order of magnitude, that's what you're talking about. He was traded to the Marlins for Jesus Sanchez. So basically, you paid a guy way over slot for a dude that was just a washout. You blew it in both ways. There are really no outstanding performers in your 2023 draft. Most of them look like they're going to top out at double A. 24, you've got Walker Janik up to double A's, a hit first catcher. Right
Hmm.
now he's off to a slow start, but you don't want to read too much into that because he's hit every place he's been.
Yep.
Um, what's weird about the 24 draft is your lower round draft choices have outperformed your higher round draft choices. So your 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 12th round draft picks have performed better than the premium picks. 25, about the only thing that I look at that I get a concern about. Xavier Nayans was drafted, as a big bat. His concern has been that he's a strikeout machine. Well, he's been up 15 times in Class A ball, and he's struck out 10. You know, that's not good.
No.
Ethan Fry is the same way. Um, if you can't hit it, you can't hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just be real.
Uh, it's a big difference. I mean, it's yeah.
So that when
Going
we
from high
talk
school
about,
and some of those lower college, junior college ball to, even just the minor leagues, it's a big difference for these
and
guys.
and that's why we say that Dana's seat's got to be getting hot. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
it's got to be getting hot because you you the Astros, no organization, even the Dodgers, cannot buy everybody, and Crane's
Yep.
not going to do it.
Yep.
And there's going to be some tough talks if the team doesn't perform and the development doesn't occur, because it's Dana's job to give Joe a team that can compete.
Yep.
Um, it just is, and so Dana's on the hook.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of these guys are, but yeah, you know, I think you said something earlier, and it's already kind of started to be, started going around social media. Is what's is Joe's job potentially on the line if the Astros go whatever, fill in the blank with a number, and would Dana try to save his ass by popping off Joe? I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what we were saying off camera before we got on. Is if yeah if you're Dana and things look bad, are you gonna fire what you think you gonna fire Joe so you can say that, okay, so we got rid of the problem, bring Omar
yeah.
Lopez in and see what he does.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
and I don't see that being I don't see that being a way to solve any of these problems.
uh-uh.
Every manager's got their things, and a lot of Astros fans have a lot to say about Joe Espada, but considering what that guy pulled off last year with the team that he had and the makeup and the
Oh,
injuries and everything that was going on, he way more than proved himself last year to me.
oh yeah, this
I
isn't an
was one
Espada
that
deal.
was no, I was one that was only somewhat skeptical of Espada as a manager when he was coming in. I had faith in the guy. He knows the team. There were some things, but overall and throughout the big picture of what he was able to pull off with the tools that he had, he built a masterpiece with you know with dollar store tools last year.
Oh yeah, you and I were talking about when they're 20 games over 500. I was saying they pulled together with chewing gum and baling wire,
Yeah. Yep.
and it
Yep.
and it's and we've talked on shows in the past when you look at the teams from 17, 19, 21, 22, and today, it's just very clear that the talent level has dropped to a point where culture doesn't get it done.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%. Well, we're kind of running up against the time ceiling here. Got any final thoughts?
No, no, I mean, I think the shows that we've had are very so far this year have been very typical for early in the season. You know, the Angels were like, "Oh, what heck's going on?" You play the Red Sox, we're going to the World Series. Um, we play the A's. We play the A's and say, "What happened? Can't we throw strikes?" But the A's can hit. And you go to the Rockies, it's like, let's just go jump off the ledge. And it's going to be somewhere in between those.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
I,
so.
I think even though we said you really know what you have by Memorial Day with the Astros going 13 and 13, 13 games in 13 days, we will have a really good feel for where this team is.
Hmm. Yeah. I think they split in Seattle.
Let's
What do you
see.
think?
I hope. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's. Can they throw strikes? Can
Yeah.
they throw?
Well,
Can they throw
that's going to be
strikes?
the things. That's can they throw strikes or throw the guys off?
Yeah.
Because these guys
Well, if
apparently
they can,
can't hit strikes and love to chase the ball outside. So
yeah.
take
Well,
that information and use it to your advantage. And yeah, let's see if we can pull a few off in Seattle.
I'm interested to see if McCullers can be a leader on the staff. He's got the experience. Yeah, he's the one guy the staff has that knows what it's like to win and pitch big in big games.
Yep, I think so, and heck, knowing that these guys are chasing balls outside of the zone, maybe another 24 curveballs is the recipe. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us for tonight. Thanks for paying attention to our ramblings about the Astros. This is another episode of Dirt Time and Sports Talk. I'm Ryan. That's my man, Wally. Go Stros.
Go Stros. I thought that went well.